This is a tutorial on how to make a little plushie, a Project Seika plushie. I'm going to be making Emu, so I need this black felt. You can get it at Michael's. This like really light colored felt, I don't know, it's not white, but it's like really light pink and white felt. I think these are like 25 cents each, I don't know. So I already made little cutout papers from whenever I made the little Ruby plushie. I'm about to whip it out. What? Okay, here it is. So I'm just gonna be using the same stencils for Emu. So I'm just gonna put them on a piece of paper, trace them, but I'm gonna, change the hair up a little bit. What? I'm not giving you a candy straw. Get out of here.
I'm taking this out.
Anyway, whenever you're tracing, make sure you make it a little bit bigger than you actually want it, because whenever you sew, it's gonna shrink. Also, make sure you cut those little triangles at the top, because it'll give your plushie a curve, so it's not just flat, because that's lame.
An imposter took our life away. Now we're stuck here to decay. Let's not just get in it, don't lock us away. We're nothing but a fighting. We're born into souls who have lost our control, and we're forced into rotting the road. We're gathered alone, stuck around into zones, so it's fighting into seven. Join us, be a friend, or just be stuck and defend. After all, you can be Is this where you want to be? Just stop it.
Once you're done tracing, just cut it out. The next step is to place your stencils on your felt. I like to flip them over so that the pen doesn't show on the side that I want. And then once you're doing that, I like to pin mine down sometimes. I don't know. It kind of works, kind of doesn't. I don't know, sometimes it just warps your paper. Alright, now, when it comes to tracing, you don't gotta get like a fancy little pen. Sterling, can you shut up and try to do what? Anyway, you don't gotta get a fancy pen, it just got to work, And it doesn't have to be perfect. Your tracing doesn't have to be perfect, because whenever you cut it out, that's when you make it perfect, okay, buddy? Next, trace the little body. You're going to want to do 2 of these. Alright, next, I don't understand why I didn't just trace the rest, but I went to cutting out the pink pieces for the hair. At this point, my back was killing me and my knees hurt like hell. I don't know why I do my projects on the floor, but it's just most comfortable until it's not. Stop! Okay, I ended up tracing this little thing because I forgot about it. Oh yeah, I also forgot to trace that little long piece. Whoa. I also forgot to trace that long piece in the middle, so I gotta do that right now. Oh yeah, the long piece is for the hair, by the way. This is when I laid out everything and I realized I forgot to trace the face. Alright, now that everything's cut out, we can finally sew. I'm using this weird bracelet making yarn, or thread, whatever you want to call it. And I'm picking out a color that matches the skin tone the best, as well as the hair. Once you got some thread on your needle, you're going to want to flip your piece over so the pen side is in the inside, because that'll be ugly. For some reason, I did it like this, which was the more difficult way. But if you want, instead, you can just flip it inside out and sew it from the inside, instead of the outside to inside. I was just making it difficult for myself, but I learned later on.
I was rizzing up a yacht late one night when a sussy imposter...
I started off by sewing these little triangles together to make like a little face shape. Also, if you don't know how to sew, this is not the video to learn because, yeah, I'm speeding through this. Also, I'm not a professional, so I'm just doing whatever.
The weather outside is rizzy, but the fire is so skibidi. And since I've got to go...
Okay, I'm gonna slow this video down to regular speed because this next part is tricky. Alright, that long strip of pink I just cut out, I'm measuring it on the top of the head because that is where it's going to go, somehow. I took this other, like, tan color neck piece, and I lined it up. You see how they line up like that? Oop, I made it a little bit too long, or too wide, so I'm gonna trim that down. But the little slanted pieces, they should match up, and it's gonna make a little circle thing. See, look, it matches there, and it matches there. And if I put them at the same time, it'll make a little circle thing, like I said. As you can see, I'm lining them up to get ready to sew, but this is on the inside, so the marker, or the pen piece, is on the inside. I'm going to take my pink yarn, or you can either use pink or tan, it doesn't matter. Now I'm going to take my pieces, and I'm just going to, I don't even know what kind of sewing style this is, bro. I'm just going to loop it over and over. Until, until it, I don't know what it's called.
でも、どうしてもダメなんだ。エナは、すごく優しいから。
Alright, on the final loop, how I tie knots is, or how you're supposed to tie a knot, I think. It's what I learned in theater class in 6th grade. Anyway, you're gonna stick your needle in the last loop that you did. And you're gonna, this is really confusing to look at. You're just gonna loop it under as if you were tying a regular knot. You just pull it through. There we go, you tighten it. There we go, you got a knot. Once you're done cutting your thread, you're going to open it up and it should look like this. Alright, now next is you're just going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to line it up so that the little slanted parts match. I ran out of thread, so I'm going to get some more. Oh yeah, and let me mention again, make sure you're sewing inside out, so that whenever you flip it, it's seamless. Yay, now that you've sewed them both together, it should look something like this. That little random U-shaped thing is for the neck, by the way. Okay, now that hard part number 1 is done, you're going to line it up with the face. And be prepared for hard part number 2. I'm going to do a time lapse of this next part, because this next part is just me trying to get the thread through the needle. And I literally almost cried.
僕はその優しさがみんなの中に生まれちゃうことがどうしようもなく嫌なんだ。
Alright, once I finally got the thread through the needle, it's time to sew the face to the head. Now first off, make sure the chin is at the bottom, where that little U is. You're gonna align the chin with the U part at the front. Now I'm gonna take a little... What the hell? Wait, hold on. Look at me hesitating because I don't know where the hell to start. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain this as best as I can. But you're gonna line the bottom of the chin up with that little U-shape thing. Sorry if I literally did not get this in frame. But I'm gonna take a little needle to hold it in place. What the heck? What the fart am I doing? Anyway, yeah. But you're gonna sew it inside out again. I'd say the hardest part of this step is making sure it all lines up in the end. Because whenever you go around and sew it, sometimes it doesn't line up. So you just need to be aware of where you're sewing. Like, take little checkpoints and like see where you are. That's what helps me. I forgot to mention that make sure you're also doing this part inside out. Alrighty, I'm going to speed this up a bit. But just sew around the face until you reach the end. Alrighty, checkpoint number 1. I'm just checking to see if it's all lined up and make sure the chin is in the middle. So far so good, so I'm gonna keep going. Checkpoint number 2, I'm just making sure the top is lined up, and I'm checking to make sure I left enough room. Alright, this next part literally is not in frame at all, but I'm just sewing that little U part, that little U shape for the neck. I'm just sewing it all weird, because it is weird. I don't know. Alrighty, tie a knot and flip it back inside out. Make sure everything's good. At this point of the project, you're either really proud with your work or you want to give up. I have mixed feelings right here. Okay, next you're going to want to sew these little triangles together again. Once again, make sure the ink side, or the side with the pen ink, is in the inside. Oh yeah, this is when I realized that just pinching the two sides together is much easier than doing it inside to outside, inside to outside. Also, I got really frustrated here because the stupid thread kept getting stuck. Okay, cut the string. Tie a knot first and then cut the string. Always remember. And then, yeah, you got a little circle. Next step is my least favorite part because it's just really confusing. Okay, take a little circle you just made and line the little stitches up with the chin, the very bottom of the chin, and line it up with the top as well. Oh, guess not. Okay, well, line those two up at the bottom, and then you're going to take a little pin needle. You're going to pin it so that it does not move. Because if it moves, yeah, that's not really good. It'll be all crooked if not. Okay, now time for a lot of confusing sewing, for me at least. So, now that these two are attached, you're going to pinch them together. You're going to take your pink thread, and you're going to just go around like you did the first one. Okay, once you've gone around, make sure you don't sew it all the way closed yet because we still have to stuff it. I'm just going to go ahead and tie a knot here so that it doesn't come undone. And then we're going to stuff it with some stuffing, which I forgot to say at the very beginning of the video that you're going to need some stuffing. Flip it inside out and go ahead and stuff. You want to try to fill it with as much stuffing as you possibly can. When you're done stuffing it, you can sew it back up. Once you like how it looks, tie the knot and you should be good. Next step is to sew the body. You're gonna put the ink side on the outside since you're gonna flip it inside out anyway. Then just sew it up like normal and leave a little gap so you can flip it and then stuff it. Alright, I kind of made my gap too small, so it's kind of hard to flip it, but I managed somehow. I just got a pencil and I just like poked it through. But I'm going to tie a knot so that it stays in place, and then I can go ahead and flip it and then stuff it. This is what I realized. This is when I realized that I made the head massive. The head is so big. Oh my god. Anyway, let's just focus on the body for now. Alright, I finished stuffing, so I'm just going to sew it back up. Moving on to the front hair piece, I am pinching it on the inside and sewing it on the inside. And yeah, I'm just sewing these V's together again. And I'm doing the same with the back hair. Time to attach the hair to the head. This part's pretty simple. There's only a few stitches that you have to do. So first make sure the stitches in the middle are lined up. You're going to start from going underneath her head and you're going to poke it through to the other side. Sorry that this next part isn't in frame, but I just basically poked it through again to the other side and attached it to the head. And it's only one stitch, so it's kind of simple. It should look like this when you're done. Next, I'm going to do that little X you see on the back of Rui's head. I'm going to try to make the little X. So start from underneath and poke through it. And then again, poke through and attach it to the inside. Then repeat the steps, but just make them cross over. It should look like that. And then we're going to start with the front pieces. Okay, line it up in the middle, get your pink thread, and we're going to basically do the same thing that we did in the back. Except it's only one stitch. Alrighty, time to attach the head to the body. This part's really awkward because I don't know how to do it right, so bear with me. Ignore this next part because I thought I was cooking up something, but I ended up just tangling up everything. tighter you get the head to the body, the better it'll look. Especially if your head is really big, like mine. It'll look better if you, like, really squish it together. She's actually so cute right now. Hold on. Anyway, time to fill in those bald spots because, yeah, what the heck. Okay, I'm gonna fill in her bald spots by cutting out little crescent shaped. They're not exactly crescents, they're like kind of, I don't know, half circles almost. Then this is where the felting needle comes in handy because you're gonna poke her little hair pieces on her head. Now I'm going to needle felt the top of the head so that the hair kind of blends in, so it doesn't poke up all weird. And I'm also going to poke the back of the head so that the hair kind of stays down. And I'm also going to poke the front of the hair, but only where the forehead is. Now that the hair is finally done, I'm going to bend these little ears back and then I'm going to poke them on. Make sure you line them up right so they don't stick out too much because it'll kind of look weird. But yeah, you're going to needle felt them on to both sides. After I got the ears attached, I went ahead and cut out another piece of pink felt so I could cover up the back of the ears. Now that I attached the last pieces of hair, I'm going to move on to the eyes. For the eyes, you're going to want to cut out 2 ovals or circles, whatever you want, but you want to make them bigger than they actually are going to be because they're going to shrink. Alright, this is what I have for the eyes. I am liking the shape and the size, even though they're going to get smaller. So I'm going to get my felting needle and I'm going to carefully poke the eyes. I'm going to try to hold it as best as I can in place so that it doesn't move. Scheiße. Next step is to do the mouth. I didn't know what to do for this one, so I tried to draw it on at first, but it kind of looked weird. I don't know. I honestly think the mouth ruined it, but oh well. Now for the cheeks, I went in with some actual blush, and I lightly patted it on, making sure there's not too much on there. Then here's when I decided that I hated the mouth, and so I decided to add some darker pink felt for it. But honestly, I think it ruined it. Oh well. Okay, she was looking pretty plain, so I ended up adding her little bow that she has with her show costume. I think it turned out pretty cute. Okay, ignore that they don't have clothes. But yeah, this is the final product. Hope you enjoyed the video, and yeah. This is the damage it left me. I am not cleaning it up right now.